Welcome everyone to another edition of The Score. Wiley Baker with you here. As a reminder, The Score is a sports show here on AACPS TV and the Anne Arundel County YouTube channel, where our Athletes in Action show focuses on a specific team at an Anne Arundel County public school. The Score zeroes in on an essential individual in the life of Anne Arundel County Public Schools athletics. And today, not only do we have one such individual, but a good friend of mine for several years now. I'd like to introduce to you the new Broadneck High School Athletic Director, though he's been in that role before. Down in Bruin Country, it's Kevin Necessary. Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, first of all, you're a local guy. Tell us a little bit about Kevin Necessary.
Yeah, as you said, I am a true local person of Anne Arundel County athletics. I grew up in the county playing sports for the Revere Beach Buccaneers and the Lakeshore Spartans. Was a football, basketball, and lacrosse player throughout my youth league days, and then had the good fortune to go on to Chesapeake High School. Played all three sports for two freshman and sophomore year, and then started to focus in on football and lacrosse. Had the great fortune of moving on to the University of Maryland, where I played lacrosse for legendary coach Dick Adele and Dave Sofkowski, and learned a ton there. And realized very quickly that coaching, teaching, being involved in sports in some way was going to have to remain part of my life forever.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. I remember you as, I was dating myself here, but I remember you as a lacrosse player. Such a great lacrosse player you were. Talk a little bit about your career in lacrosse. I know that was tremendous for you.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, that was the last sport I picked up. I was a baseball player up until 8th grade, moved to a neighborhood in Pasadena where a lot of my friends at the time were playing lacrosse, and kind of convinced me that I would like it a little bit better and like the fast pace of it, and they were correct. So picked it up in 8th grade and just fell in love with it and immersed myself in it. Played at Chesapeake High School. I'd be remiss if I did not mention Brian McMurray. Brian McMurray was our coach, took over my junior year, and really kind of got me to focus in on things that led me to have the opportunity to earn a scholarship to play at the University of Maryland. And then enjoyed 5 years at the University of Maryland, got to participate in 2 Final Fours. By no stretch of the imagination, I was a role player. But that time there with Coach Adele and Coach Sofkowski really shaped a lot of the thoughts and the philosophies and the things that I try still today to instill in athletes that I work with.
Yeah, I mean, what a tremendous experience being a Terp. I think everybody that plays lacrosse would probably want to go to a local school, and why not Maryland?
Being a Terp is still a major part of my life. My jersey hangs in my office to this day, and I remember, it's almost 20 years ago now, but it still feels like yesterday.
Now, how has playing sports at Chesapeake ignited you to become a coach and now, of course, an athletic director? I mean, maybe you can even tell us a little background of you being a coach.
Yeah, so coming out of University of Maryland, I met another who I consider a legend, Clint Gosnell, working camps at the University of Maryland, and I was on path to become a PE teacher, and I've known I wanted to be a PE teacher probably since I was about 5th grade-ish.
Oh, wow.
It's funny enough, it was like, hey, they get to wear shorts every day to work, and I kind of knew that was something I liked, and just being around sports and things like that. So I got to know Clint Gosnell. He talked me into coming, and I student taught at Arundel High School.
Okay.
And my first coaching job in Anne Arundel County, a little known fact, was a JV field hockey coach.
Really?
At Arundel High School under the direction of Coach Gosnell. What I realized very quickly was this was my path, and this would give me the opportunity to stay involved in sports and high school sports. And high school sports and college sports and just being on teams has shaped who I am so much that continuing to be part of that entire program, entire type of setting was very important to me. So then I got to know, that led me to Coach Markowitz, and I had the great fortune of coaching under Coach Chuck Markowitz for 14 years as his receivers coach. I was the assistant lacrosse coach for Coach Gosnell, and took over for him in 2008. And was the head lacrosse coach at Arundel from 2008 to 2015. We eventually won back-to-back county championships. More importantly to me, the community embraced what we were doing in the lacrosse field, and it led to a lot of successes. We sent in about a 10-year span, we sent 42 kids on to play college lacrosse.
That's awesome.
One of my players, played at Towson, played in the Final Four.
Yep.
And those are the real successes, right? Winning a high school lacrosse game is fun, and it's fun for everybody involved. But when your kids go on and use the sport as a vehicle to have other successes in life, it makes you feel great as a coach.
Well, you brought up Arundel High School, so before we talk about Broadneck, you did a tremendous job in Wildcat Country. Talk a little bit about your stay in Gambrels at Arundel High School as athletic director.
So I was actually at Arundel High School for 19 years, 20 years total if you count my student teaching year, but 19 years professionally. So obviously Arundel High School is near and dear to my heart and will always be. Very much shaped me as a professional. The people that I encountered there, Bernie Walter, Lee Rogers, Chuck Markowitz. These are names that you say in Anne Arundel County lore, right? And so my stay there, every day was a learning lesson. Every day was a lesson learned in what to do, what not to do, how to handle situations. You make mistakes and you learn from them. And it has certainly shaped me and led me to where I am now at Broadneck High School. And my stay at Arundel High School is some of the most cherished moments of not just my professional life, my overall life. I got married when I was there. I had my son when I was at Arundel High School. So leaving Arundel High School was one of the most hardest professional decisions I've ever made. But in saying that, I also feel that when I left, Arundel High School was in such a great place, and every time I go back there, I don't go back there and I'm not sad. I'm actually very happy because the students there are enjoying a great setting that I helped. I like to think that I helped and had a part of creating.
No doubt, absolutely. Here with new Broadneck High School Athletic Director Kevin Necessary, as we just talked about his tenure at Arundel High School, which he enjoyed so much. Why is Broadneck High School a great fit for Kevin Necessary?
So it's funny this question comes up because we had former Governor Ehrlich come in today and speak to our Athletic Leadership Council students. And one of the big things he talked about as an essential key component of both leadership and life is balance. And paying attention to everything that's important in your life, because when you start to, when you forget about things, you'll lose them. And that was the impetus for my move, was life balance, being able to spend more time with my son. And my wife was the major impetus for my move. That on top of the tradition and the history that Broadneck has certainly enjoyed in combination with that. But we live in the community. We're members of the Cape St. Clair community. I live 2 miles from Broadneck High School. My son goes to school 1 mile from Broadneck High School. He'll be involved in all those youth leagues. And when this opportunity came, searching for that life balance became very clear.
How much fun is it to follow another legend as we talk about Ken Kaczmarek down at Broadneck High School? That had to be fun because I know the platform was kind of set, so now you can take that and really spring in Broadneck High School and the Bruin community into another atmosphere.
Another huge mentor in my career is Ken Kaczmarek. I want to take this opportunity to say we're actually dedicating the floor to him on January 3rd between the girls and boys basketball game against Annapolis.
That's great.
What a job he did at Broadneck High School. As one of the founding fathers, a great basketball coach. Even more important, a great mentor and leader for all of the coaches down there. The athletic department has enjoyed such great successes, and it wasn't an accident. It was his leadership and guidance and continuous challenging of his coaches and the community that led to where Broadneck is today, which is in a great place. I'm very fortunate to take over such a great athletic program.
Again, here with Kevin Necessary, Athletic Director at Broadneck High School. And, well, let's talk a little bit. We were just briefly mentioned about rivalries and history. And, well, the Broadneck-Severna Park history and the rivalry down there. I know that is near and dear to your heart. That is a fun rivalry down there, and you have some great fan bases on both sides, especially the student sections.
Yeah, obviously that's one of the first things I heard about, right? It's Duke, Carolina. It's Michigan, Ohio State. Unfortunately, the way the schedule worked out, I missed out on being able to enjoy the football part of it this year. But one of my first events covered this year was Broadneck Severna Park soccer at Severna Park this year, and I think it was then that I fully realized the the true emotion involved in it, and gained more of an appreciation for the passion there. But what I'll say is my first impressions of it are that it is a rivalry, but it's not a hatred-based rivalry. It's actually a respectful and energizing rivalry between two programs that have enjoyed tremendous success and just enjoy competing against each other. We had our first basketball event against each other last Friday. I thought Kevin Relich did a great job of administrating, but to that end, I commend the students and the community as a whole. Although it was, it was intense, but it wasn't. It was a great environment for high school sports. And my first impressions are, wow, how fortunate am I to be part of it? So.
It really is a special rivalry for sure.
We did win those in boys basketball, so that helped the kids. So. And they got us in girls, so I guess it balanced out. So.
All right, very good. Maybe we make that kind of the high school star game.
There you
say, right? Oh my goodness. Well, as we talk about the different rivalries and accomplishments, as we move forward with you as the new athletic director at Broadneck High School, what would be Kevin Necessary's expectations there, not only for, say, the teams and the student athletes and the coaches, but for the fans and the community as well?
I'm just really trying to continue to push the work that Ken did for so many years there. I think he was a forward-thinking visionary when it came to things like facilities. So right off the bat, we have some things that I'm trying to wrap up that he got started. We're getting a second turf stadium put in right on College Parkway. We just got approved for. We're totally renovating our weight room. So, kind of from the physical standpoint, just continuing to improve those facilities for our student athletes and create an environment that they feel that they can maximize their potential in. A little bit more near and dear to my heart is, we started an athletic leadership council at Arundel, kind of, maybe one of the first schools to do that, and I was a major part of that, and I love that. That's a big part of my day. It's actually probably my favorite hour of the week when I get to meet with those student athletes. So we've brought that to Broadneck High School, and my whole mission with that is to foster the leadership values of students that have those qualities already, and teach them how to do that in a way that's positive and that they enjoy, and also make them the face of the community and realize how athletics can positively influence both the community and the culture of the school.
As we wrap up, and we have about 60 seconds left, I'd like you to just touch on how important, as a part of that community, the athletic trainers are. I know you love your athletic trainer there, and it really keeps those student athletes in check with their injuries, keeps the parents in tune, and really everybody healthy and strong.
So I'm old enough to know, or to be in a day and age where their athletic trainers weren't there, and I was the guy making decisions on concussions and taping ankles, and it was very uncomfortable. So the great fortune of having athletic trainers at all is felt by a person who's been through times when they weren't there. But also to be able to work with, I've worked with MedStar and ATI, two tremendous groups, and more importantly, people like Ryan Cizik and Kelly Crow and Gary Simpson and now Brandy Hartz. These people put in hours beyond the requirements to make sure our athletes are safe, to make sure our athletes are healthy. Their importance in our athletic program has grown in 5 years more than you could ever imagine it growing. So.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule, and of course, Broadneck Athletics, you can catch them on their website for sure. Can you give us that website?
www.broadneckathletics.org. All the updated information you ever wanted.
There it is. Kevin Necessary. He's been in the athletic director role at Arundel High School, now the new athletic director in Bruin Country at Broadneck High School in Arnold, Maryland. Kevin, thank you so much, my friend, for taking the time. We'll see you on the court or on the field for sure. And again, we thank you so much for tuning in. Again, thanks to Kevin Necessary, and thank you for listening. I'm Wiley Baker. I'll talk to you on the court, on the field, or on the air with another edition of The Score right here on AACPS TV and the Anne Arundel County Public Schools YouTube channel.